Hello, how you doing, everyone? Welcome to another off-season preview. It is that time of year. Always excited to get into the off-season. You know, it's funny because in the regular season, it always starts off like this, right? I was kind of thinking about this a little earlier. In the beginning of the year, everyone's excited, right? Then about a month in, it feels like a small percentage of the baseball fans die off when they realize their teams just aren't that good. And then you got the trade deadline. Everyone's into the trade deadline. You love all the rumors. You love the gossip. You love all that. And then down the stretch, it cools down a little bit. Start of the postseason heats back up. But then as teams start to fall out of it, you see more and more people fall out of it themselves. And then the offseason happens. And then all of a sudden, everyone is alive again, and it's just a fun time for baseball fans. Sure, we all love watching the game, but I have a theory that people like the offseason just as much because we can all get excited for the rumors. We can all get excited for all the juicy gossip, the free agent signings, the trade rumors as well. It's a fun time, and I do stand by that theory that people like the offseason more than the actual season itself. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. The thought of seeing the top players out there change jerseys, it just gets me all excited inside. It gets me all warm and fuzzy. It's just fun. It's a fun time. What can I say? And I think the first thing we have to talk about is Shohei Ohtani. We got to talk about Shohei Ohtani here. And that's the big juicy story. Listen, everyone, when it comes to this offseason, Shohei Ohtani is going to dominate this offseason. I mean, there's really no way around it. This is the offseason of Ohtani. I listen, there are some respectable players out there, even, very respectable players like Cody Bellinger, the likes of him, some really good pitchers out there, but nothing even comes close to Ohtani. And that's nothing against the players on this market, because when it comes to Shohei Ohtani, we've never had a free agent like this before. And let me actually pull up the numbers here. We all know what Shohei Ohtani can do. Sharing the screen. His season did end short last year in the middle of September. Had to undergo a surgery for his elbow, so he's not even going to be able to pitch next year. But the guy's bat is incredible. I mean, look at the numbers just with the bat alone. Hit 304, a 412 on base, a 654 slugging, 44 home runs, a 180 WRC plus. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Now, the one thing people wonder about with Shohei Ohtani is the contract, and it's kind of hard to guess. I mean, I'm sure the people, in those front offices, they got their algorithms, they got all the numbers that they're crunching. When we can look at value for Shohei Ohtani, simply with the bat, last year, with just the bat alone, he was worth $53 million according to Fangraphs. But if we go look at the pitching last year, again, did come up short with finishing the season healthy, but with the arm, he was worth $18.9 million, so $19 million. So, I mean, that is just nuts. The guy's was worth $70 million last year total. I mean, if you go back to the years prior, I mean, this guy has been averaging around $70 million worth of value. That's insane. Now, Shohei Ohtani is not going to get $70 million per year. I mean, that's just crazy over a 10 and 11-year contract. I mean, my goodness, that would just be insane. Now, when it comes to the pitching, obviously he's not going to pitch next season. So that is going to come into play. And I think that is going to come into play not just next year, but the seasons after as well. I'm sure there's going to be incentives put in place. There's going to be, options put in place. There's going to be a certain structure to his contract, especially on the pitching side of things. I think with the bat, you can kind of just go straight forward with the bat. Look at, the contract that Aaron Judge got. I think you can look at Aaron Judge, kind of look at his numbers that he's been putting up, especially last year or this year, not so much because he was hurt, but, Aaron Judge ended up getting $360 million over the 9 years, I believe. Or I could see Ohtani getting a similar contract to that personally. So with just the offense, right? But then you throw in the pitching. And I think Ohtani it's very realistic that he ends up getting probably around $500 million. Could it be maybe like, 400, 450, and then you put in the incentives after that can get it bumped up over 500? I think that's very possible as well. Could there be opt-outs put into this contract? I think that's very possible as well. Could he opt out maybe after like the 5th season or so? I'm very interested. I've said this before. I'm very interested to see what this contract actually looks like. Sure, I'm definitely intrigued by where he goes, but I really want to see the contract because we've never seen anything like it before. So we'll have to wait and see what he ends up getting there. Ethan Stein, how you doing? $2 super chat. Thoughts on the Marlins hiring Peter Is it Bendix or Bendy? I'm so sorry. I have not caught the pronunciation of that. But from the Rays organization, obviously with the Rays, very analytical there. That to me, it sounds like ownership. They're going to try and take that Rays approach, right? Where, they're going to try and cut costs as much as they can. That's not a surprise to me if that's the route they're going to try and go, because the Marlins are a small market team. I'm kind of surprised they haven't gone that route sooner. And reports actually suggested that they wanted to talk to Chaim Bloom. That to me would have been a really good guy to get, but Chaim Bloom, it's coming out saying that he wants to spend time with family, which I can completely understand that. He's had a long few years in Boston, so no surprise there that maybe he just wants to take some time off. And there's actually a report with Chaim Bloom that he could be an advisor for the Cardinals organization. So that's interesting. Would not be surprised to see Bloom get another job at some point, maybe next year. But I'm not surprised the route that the Marlins took here, going with that heavy analytical approach when it comes to running the front office. I think you're going to see a lot of small moves. You're going to see a lot of Rays kind of moves. So in the end, I think for the Marlins, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you hire. You gotta win games. You could hire whoever. Like, you could bring in Dave freaking Dombrowski at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. Like, you got to put the wins on the board. So until they actually start having some sustained success and, maybe getting at least past a round in the playoffs, I don't think there's really too much to say at the end of the day. So, but we'll see how it goes. But with Ohtani, hey, the contract, it's going to be interesting. Now, what team does he end up going to? So there's an article on MLB.com. They got the potential destinations. And, people are going to come out here and they're going to say, oh, Ohtani's going to come to this team. He should come to the Orioles. He should come to the Rangers. He should go to the Yankees. And to me, I think personally, there are really a few teams, in my opinion, maybe like 4 to 5 teams that I think are actually realistic when you really look into it. And then I think there's some teams that I think can have a conversation, but I don't think are going to be in it at the end. Kingston Farrell, $1.99. Do you think the Pirates make a move in what position? I think they add just some smaller kind of bats, maybe some smaller contracts. I could see them maybe getting Yariel Rodriguez, who's been in Japan the last few years. He's from Cuba. This guy's got really good stuff. They've been scouting him really heavily over the last couple of years. I could see them maybe getting him. So look out for Yariel Rodriguez. I think that's a possibility for the Pirates if they do splurge. If not, I could see, like the smaller moves, like a Hunter Renfroe kind of a move. So I'll get to the super chats here in just a second. But taking a look here at MLB.com, they put the suitors in alphabetical order. And we have the Angels, we got the Dodgers, the Giants, the Mariners, the Mets, the Padres, the Rangers, the Red Sox. I'm actually very surprised at this article because I really think they left off a couple of teams. Bob Nightingale did write an article for the USA Today, and he did list the Cubs as a sleeper pick, and that's according to several general managers around the league. Listen, I'm not going to count the Cubs out because it does say here exactly what I was thinking when I thought of the Cubs as a possible destination, is that Hayward's contract is finally off the books. So, they have a couple of contracts coming off, so they do have the payroll flexibility here. They did talk with Ohtani prior to him going to the Angels, back in, 2018. So I definitely could see the Cubs being in this conversation. My Red Sox, they have that connection with Ohtani when it comes to the New Balance sponsorship that he has, right, where the New Balance headquarters are in Boston. So, from a business standpoint, I can understand where, there's maybe that can unlock a lot of possibilities when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. So I think that's possible. And then they have here as well the Yankees, the Mets. They also have the Blue Jays here, and the Giants, Mariners, Padres, and the Rangers. When it comes to Ohtani, to me, I think the teams that I think are the biggest threats for Ohtani, I think the Dodgers are clearly the number one threat. Why? Because the Dodgers just had a ton of money come off the books. They have a lot of payroll flexibility. They're winning every single year. They just check off all those boxes. They have the money. They win. It's very easy to see why the Dodgers would be the destination. I honestly think the San Francisco Giants are a very big possibility. Look at what the Giants have been doing the last couple of off seasons. They went just for last off season. They almost had Aaron Judge. They got Arson Judge, right? They went for Carlos Correa. That didn't work out, right? They went for Bryce Harper years back. Giancarlo Stanton as well. They have been trying to land a guy. I could absolutely see the Giants getting in on Shohei Ohtani. I think that's very, very possible, right? They've been trying to land the big name for years now, and they just can't. Could this end up being the time for them? I think that's very possible. I think the Mariners are a possible destination for him, right? Because they have a young organization, right? They got a lot of talent coming up. You already got a superstar in Julio Rodriguez. They have a need here where they, in my opinion, I think they need a bat. They absolutely need a bat. The pitching is great with the Mariners, but they desperately need another bat for this lineup. So if they can convince Ohtani, hey, listen, I know we just missed the playoffs last year and we fell short a couple of years ago as well, but this team, this organization is built to win. Unfortunately for the Mariners, they just haven't really been able to win. And I just do wonder if that comes back to bite them. You do have money available here, right? You have an estimated payroll for next year of 140. So you could definitely make an offer for Ohtani. That is absolutely a possibility. So I could see the Mariners being a possibility. Sure, could you have the Mets maybe jump in? I don't expect it. Mets fans, you have to remember here, $267 million already committed for next year. That's a lot, man. And you're going to be, again, up against these luxury tax penalties. Listen, and this is why, Mets fans, I keep seeing Mets fans all over the place. Oh, we're going to sign Yamamoto. Oh, we're going to get Ohtani. Listen, you just spent a whole ton of money, and you came up short this year. I am not going to be surprised at all if they end up sitting back with a slightly quiet offseason. I'm sorry. I could see them maybe getting someone. Maybe Steve Cohen has a change of heart, but I don't know. I think for me personally, this year feels like almost kind of like a reset kind of a year for the Mets. I do expect them to compete. I do expect them to make moves, but do I see them making an Ohtani level kind of a move? I don't. Even Yamamoto, sure, they would have Yamamoto for obviously, the next few years. Yes, I understand that. He's not just for next year, but he's for the future as well. Again, that's a lot of money that you're committing. And they already have tons of money on the books here. I know you just unloaded Scherzer and Verlander, but I don't know. I personally just don't see the Mets making a big play like this. I don't know. The Padres, I don't, because, they just had to get loans to just pay their guys. I know that probably had to do with the whole cable thing going on. And man, what is going on? We are losing viewers right now. Are we lagging or something? Or what is going on? I feel like we just dropped 100 viewers in the chat. What is happening right now? I guess I upset some Mets fans. The Red Sox. I personally don't see this happening. I think it's fun to think about. I don't know. I think they're a kind of a dark horse because of that New Balance thing. I don't think that's not going to be the biggest thing, but they have landed players from Japan before. Daisuke Matsuzaka was the big one. They just got, they just landed obviously last year with Yoshida. They've landed players in the past, so that's definitely not an issue for them. I just don't know if it's the right spot at the right time. It just doesn't feel like it to me. So I personally don't think the Red Sox will land him. That's just me. But I won't count it out because the Red Sox are motivated this offseason. So I think there's that possibility where they might look to land a guy like this because obviously they got rid of Bloom, right? They brought in Breslow. They really want to be a bit more aggressive this offseason. So I'm not going to count the Red Sox out. The Rangers are a team. Hey, they got a lot of money for next year. But the Rangers right now, they're in a mode where they want to win. And they want to keep winning, right? They obviously just won a World Series. But they're not afraid to spend some money right now. And I could absolutely see the Texas Rangers at least making an offer, right? I don't know if they'll land him. Could you imagine this bat in this lineup? That's just insane. But I don't bank on the Rangers making a move just because you already have so much money tied up with Scherzer for next year, DeGrom, Seager, obviously, Semien. So I think it's possible, but my top teams for Ohtani personally, the Dodgers are number one. I would put the Giants up there. I think the Mariners have a chance. I think the Rangers are possible. The Red Sox are a bit of a dark horse. Could the Yankees make a move? They definitely need a bat. I mean, when you look at what the Yankees have in their lineup right now, they really could use a bat. I mean, Judge, and that's the one thing with Judge. We all know how good Judge is when he's healthy. The problem is you just don't know how he's going to be durability-wise, In the end, I think he's going to be fine. But really, at the moment, he really is your best guy right now. And then you just got a lot of just blah, right? Giancarlo Stanton, he's just a mess. Gleyber Torres was decent last year. LeMahieu really was underwhelming last year. They don't have a lot, so they really could use a bat. It's going to be, but to me, if you sign Ohtani, at that point, you're basically putting Stanton in the outfield. And is that something you want? Or could you just flat out just pay Stanton to get off the team? I've seen people maybe even suggest that. When it comes to the Yankees payroll, could you just straight up just DFA the guy, right? I mean, this is a lot of money that you'd be paying to just get him off your team. I don't expect that as of right now. I would imagine you're probably going to have him for at least a couple more years. But, that is going to be a bit of a logjam. Stanton is going to have to play the outfield at that point because Ohtani's DHing. So I think the Yankees are a possibility. I see the, people suggesting the Phillies. I think just the Phillies aren't going to do it. I just don't. I just think right now their lineup it's pretty jammed up at the moment. Harper, what's going to happen with Harper next year? Is he playing outfield first? I would imagine he's going to bounce back and forth. But there's not a whole lot of flexibility with this lineup right now. He would obviously make you a lot better. Could you move, Schwarber out into left? What do you do? Does Marsh maybe go to center? What do you do with you trade Rojas? Like, could you trade one of these guys, make some room for Ohtani? Sure. I just feel like that's going to be more work than what they want to do. I think the Phillies are fine just standing pat with what they have and not going for Ohtani. But the one team, everyone, I'm going to say this out loud, right? I'm going to say this because I think everyone needs to hear it, right? And I'm saying this to try and help you. I'm saying this to try and give you this bit of a heads up. Don't be surprised if he just goes back to the Angels. I know that sounds crazy. I know that. I know it does. Because the Angels stink, right? He's had so many opportunities, or the Angels have had so many opportunities here, with Ohtani, with Trout. But familiarity, comfort is a thing. It just is. Ohtani, this is all Ohtani knows, right? So at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to, obviously, the money, obviously winning, right? Those are the two most important things. But does he, at the end of the day, is that comfort going to come into play? Is that familiarity going to come into play, right? Because the one thing you could say with the Angels is, obviously he has done extremely well there. They have managed his schedule extremely well. They have managed his routines extremely well. Sure, he has been getting hurt and whatnot. Does that come into play? Does maybe he feel like there's a team out there that's going to handle him better when it comes to his health? Yeah, but I'm not going to count the Angels out. I just won't, because he is familiar there, with everything there. That's all he knows. It's a comfort thing. I do think he ends up going elsewhere, but I'm not going to be surprised if he ends up staying, right? Because the one thing with the Angels, at least they hung on to him last year at the deadline, and they went and made moves. They tried to put their best foot forward, so maybe that says something to Ohtani. Maybe. I don't know, though. With Ohtani, it's going to be tough. Obviously, you still have Trout, right? You still have, when Trout is healthy, he's easily one of the best players in baseball. So, there are those things going for the Angels at the end of the day. So I'm not going to count them out until it's all said and done. Because remember, we all thought Aaron Judge was leaving. We all thought we all thought Aaron Judge was a San Francisco Giant last year. It looked like it was a done deal. And then the Yankees made one last phone call and said, "Hey man, what do we got to do to keep you in a Yankee uniform?" Right? Sometimes one phone call is all it takes. So do the Angels, will that last phone call with the Angels get him to stay? Because there will be that last phone call. There absolutely will be. Because the Angels want to keep him, right? They will throw whatever money they can. They're going to have to, I think, throw a lot of money, and I think they're going to have to even overpay by maybe even, possibly up to $50 million bucks. I think that's very possible. Money talks at the end of the day. If they offer him enough, I think he could end up staying. I think it's unlikely. I think there's more of a chance he goes somewhere else. It kind of just feels like a bit of fatigue at this point from an outsider point of view. So, but I'm not going to leave out the possibility of him just staying, because we all thought Judge was gone last year and he ended up staying, right? So I'm just getting you ready for the possibility of him being an Angel next season. Just, it's there, right? It is possible. So with Ohtani, one more thing I also do want to, just kind of fill you in on, and you probably already know this yourself. You don't need me to tell you, but just look out for all the articles on Ohtani this offseason. There's going to be just so many. When it comes to the mainstream media, Shohei Ohtani is a huge mainstream media name, right? This is the best player in all of Major League Baseball. He has everything when it comes to the draw, the appeal. He's the modern day Babe Ruth. You're going to see a lot of articles out there this offseason. Speculation kind of articles. So many. Any little bit of a rumor, it could be Ohtani is eating a ham sandwich, and someone is going to write an article about it, somehow saying that the Yankees are making a push for Ohtani. Well, what? He was just eating a ham sandwich, and the ham was from New York. So clearly, he's interested in going to the Mets. I guarantee you will see some articles like that. I guarantee it. Oh, man, Ohtani just ordered a pillow from this company that is in Chicago. He's going to the Cubs. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Ohtani, after going through a nice his morning bathroom routine, he used some mouthwash from Canada. He's going to the Blue Jays, everyone. He's going to the Blue Jays. I guarantee you're going to see a million articles, right? Just all the speculation. And you're going to see it from like AOL.com. Is that even still a thing? AOL.com? I guarantee if AOL.com is still a thing, they're even going to jump in on it. Oh my goodness, Ohtani. What? Hey, sorry everyone. We've been out of the game here for a little while, but hey, we heard some news on Ohtani. All right? So you're going to see it everywhere. Just remember your sources, right? I try to report the best sources possible. I try. Sometimes I get tricked by, like Ben Dover. Like sometimes Ben Dover will put something out there saying Ohtani, he's going to go play for the NFL. I guarantee I'll fall for that and go live and try to report it. But you all know your sources. It's Jeff Passan, I don't know. Can you really trust John Heyman? John Heyman. John Heyman is going. He is literally John Heyman right now. I guarantee you. John Heyman has his phone right now, and he is practicing his Ohtani tweet. I guarantee you he already has drafts already written out. Ohtani to the Dodgers. Ohtani to the Giants. To the Red Sox. To the Yankees. He already has them. Already. He is practicing typing on his phone right now for the big day. John Heyman. He needs to redeem himself after arsing Judge. Just saying. John Heyman, he's going to try and be first, right? To me, the one that really makes it all official, it's Jeff Passan. Jeff Passan is just the guy, right? That's the guy you need to look out for, all right? Unless Ohtani comes out himself and announces something, right? But when a decision is made, it's going to be big, right? It's going to be massive news. And I just really hope it's not the Angels. I remember last year with Aaron Judge and the Yankees, I'm like, oh, really? Okay, cool. I guess we can talk about this, but it was just so like, ugh. The Yankees. We all wanted the Giants. I don't know. Anyway, but be on the lookout for all these articles. I mean, there's already a couple here. I mean, I don't even know. What is this? Bleacher Nation? I guess that's the Cubs. You got Nesson for the Red Sox. Like this one. This is what I'm talking about here, everyone. Like Nesson for the Red Sox, right? The Red Sox reportedly heavily considered to be Shohei Ohtani's spot. And all this was based off of the article that Bob Nightingale wrote. And when you go to the Bob Nightingale article, right, my computer is extremely slow right now. I don't know what is happening right now. But when you go to the article, I mean, like, it says they're expected to be heavily considered, but Nesson is like almost taking that and they're using it as their like headline. It's just kind of clickbaity, right? And I know it's based off of what Nightingale said, but even with Nightingale, that's kind of a clickbaity kind of a sentence right there, right? Heavily considered, like heavily. I don't know, like how heavily? Like that could mean a lot of things. So you're gonna see a lot of headlines like that. Anyway, but with Ohtani, I personally think, in my personal prediction, it's not really anything new. It's nothing crazy. I do think he ends up with the Dodgers. It just seems like they have gotten themselves ready for it. Like they have gotten rid of the contracts. Remember last offseason, they stayed a little bit more on the quiet side. They made a couple of signings, right? But it feels like they've been getting ready for this. The question is, will Ohtani want to go there, right? I mean, it's kind of hard, to really pick against them because they're always winning. I guess the question is, how much does Ohtani consider the Dodgers as a possible landing spot, right? It's going to come down to meeting with them. It's going to come down to, obviously, the contracts, how the contracts are structured, right? There's going to be a lot of factors that come into play. Could be just one day, Ohtani, he hears something from one of these teams and he's like, you know what? I really liked what they had to say. I just really like their presentation. I just like the contract, not the money, but maybe the way they're structuring it. All right. It could just come down to like really kind of smaller details, right? How is the strength and conditioning staff, right? How is, the team dealing with routines, right? I think there's going to be a lot more to it than just money and how often you're making the playoffs. Sure, that's important, but there's a lot more to handling Ohtani than just making the playoffs and, the money. Sure, those are important, but all of these teams are going to be offering the big bucks. They know what it's going to take to sign Ohtani. So I think it's going to come down to the smaller things. It feels like the Dodgers, it seems like they have, right? They have the advantage over these other teams, but I really think it really could come down to, does Ohtani like something more from maybe the Giants? Does he like something better with the Mariners, right? It's going to be interesting. I think it's very interesting. So I'm very excited. Shohei Ohtani, everyone. Let's kind of move on to some other aspects of the offseason. There are more players out there than just Shohei Ohtani, of course. And, it's not the best offseason I've seen. It's not the most, star-studded offseason I've ever seen. But we got some pretty good pitching for the most part. I think when you look at the available pitchers on this market, I think it's really good. Especially near the top. It is a bit top heavy. Even with the offense, even with the bats, that's a bit top heavy too. The pitching market is going to be a bit deeper though. And you got some really solid names atop the pitching market. Blake Snell, Aaron Nola. You got Yamamoto coming from Japan. This guy's going to be a stud. Montgomery winning a World Series. Sonny Gray looked really good. Arguably his best season of his career last year. So there's a lot of good names. And Eduardo Rodriguez this weekend opting out of his contract. So he is now a free agent. I thought there was the possibility that even despite the owner saying they weren't going to restructure anything with his contract, you never know when it comes to, leverage is a thing. And I think teams, they will say stuff like that. And then sometimes it ends up not going the way they say. So I thought there was a possibility Rodriguez and the Tigers could have, just came up with a new contract. But now that he's hit free agency, there's a lot of possibilities. For me personally, I have Eduardo Rodriguez going to the Phillies. That's just the spot where, because I honestly think Aaron Nola, I think Nola could end up staying, but I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to push for him. It comes down to the Bucs, so the Phillies going to give him the money. Or is a team like the Cardinals or the Cubs, maybe even the Rangers that could use some pitching, are those teams going to be more motivated for Aaron Nola? I think the Phillies will try their best to keep him, but I could see him going elsewhere. So if the Phillies lose Nola, I could absolutely see them going after someone like Eduardo Rodriguez, who I think will be cheaper than Nola. Someone like Sonny Gray, I could see someone like that as well. Could they go with like a lower tier option, like Mike Clevinger or something like that? I could see something like that, but it's going to be really interesting. I think Blake Snell is a very interesting one, looking like, what do you mean too many requests, Fangraphs? What are you talking about? But when it comes to Blake Snell, this guy, one second, everyone. What is going on? Here's the free agent tracker. So Blake Snell probably going to be winning a Cy Young. Tons of strikeouts with Snell. The walks were a bit of an issue last year with him, walking almost 5 batters per 9, but he kept the home runs down. So, Snell, he's going to be a hot commodity out there, especially from the left side. When I'm looking at teams that could use pitching, right? When you look at the bottom of the Fangraph leaderboards here, obviously, you got the bottom of the barrel teams, the A's, the Rockies, the Nationals, the Pirates, the Royals. Yeah, I don't see those teams getting in on anyone like this. But then you start kind of going up a little further, and that's where you start to see some bigger market teams, right? Don't think the Reds, White Sox will do anything, but I think the Giants are strong contenders to try and get some pitching. But the thing with the Giants is they don't usually spend the big bucks on pitching. They seem to go after more of the position players. So I don't expect the Giants to really land a pitcher. I see them more in the position player market. The Red Sox absolutely need pitching. I mean, their pitching was so up and down last year. They had like a lot of guys, but they just couldn't really piece it together. You know, Brian Bayo, he faded down the stretch. So, you know, I expect a better season from him this coming year. But the Red Sox absolutely need someone. I definitely expect the Red Sox to go out and get one of these guys. My personal guess is going to be Yamamoto because they need pitching. And they've been connected a lot with the Japanese market in the past. You have Yoshida there. Yamamoto to the Red Sox, to me, that's not really a biased pick. That's more, I just kind of just see that happening, right? Because you saw it with Dice K years back. Obviously, that was a different time, a different place, but you still have the same ownership, right? I know Dice K kind of didn't really work out after that first year, but yeah, he helped you win a World Series in 2007. Then, you know, they've had a lot of pitchers come over and have success, right? So I definitely see the Red Sox getting someone like Yamamoto. I could see them as well getting someone like Blake Snell. I think if you still had Chaim Bloom, I think the possibility of Blake Snell was higher. So we'll have to see. Jordan Montgomery, you know, this guy is a winner. I could see the Red Sox liking that. I don't really see them getting Sonny Gray. I could see Nola because he gives you innings. I could possibly see that. Eduardo Rodriguez, you know, this is a guy that knows how to pitch in Boston. I could see him returning. So, but the one reason I think the Red Sox really land a pitcher, the main reason, obviously, because they stunk at pitching, but now you have Craig Breslow as your head guy coming in, replacing Chaim Bloom. So to me, Craig Breslow, when you think of what he's done with the Cubs or what he did with the Cubs, a lot of focus on pitching there. You know, obviously very big on the pitching development. So I think Breslow, he's going to look at one of these top guys, and I think he's going to make his pick on one of these top guys, and he's going to go after that guy, right? He's going to, you know, not keep all his eggs in one basket. Breslow is a very smart guy. I think what Breslow is going to do, I think he's going to pick like a few guys. He'll have a favorite that he really wants to land, but I think he'll kind of really dive into Yamamoto. I could see Snell. I could see Montgomery. I think it's going to come down to those three guys, maybe Eduardo Rodriguez. I think the Red Sox land someone when it comes to the pitching side of things. I definitely see that happening. The Dodgers, too. The Dodgers had their problems last year with pitching. I could definitely see the Dodgers landing someone. They had a lot of injuries last year. Nola, I think, could be a very good possibility for them. Remember, they wanted to trade for Eduardo Rodriguez, right? So could they revisit those talks? I could see something like that. So Yamamoto, obviously you have that connection with Japan, you know, the West Coast. That's just a thing. You know, these guys from Japan, it's always a possibility they go to one of these teams on the West Coast. It's just always that possibility. But I could see Yamamoto for sure, right? You could see Snell. He was just in the NL West, so I think that's possible. So I definitely think the Dodgers land some pitching. But then there's also, don't forget, there is Shota Imanaga. He is kind of, I guess you can call the consolation prize of the Japanese market, right? Yamamoto is going to be the clear number one, but Imanaga is a guy to pay attention to. He throws a lot of different pitches, 2.45 ERA, 2.77 ERA last year. However, his home runs were up last year, and for Japan, a home run per 9, that actually translates to a lot more in the major leagues, so that is something to keep an eye on with Imanaga, but he has a good mix of pitches, so I think he's a decent guy if you can land him, but Yamamoto is clearly the prize, right? So look out for him. But for the Dodgers or for the Red Sox, if they aren't able to land one of these top guys, I could see them going after Imanaga, so look out for that. The Cardinals, right, and the Yankees. The Yankees, you know, funny enough, I honestly don't think the Yankees are going to be huge in the pitching market. I think they will dabble in it, but I don't know. Like, you just spent so much money on Rodon last year, and look what happened with that. I could see them going after guys that can give you innings, right? Like someone like Kyle Gibson, Lucas Giolito. Those aren't the most sexy picks, but those are guys that can give you innings. I could see the Yankees doing something like that. I personally think Lucas Giolito could go to the Yankees. I think, when you look at the pitching development that they have, their use of analytics with pitching, they have gotten guys on track, and they've gotten a lot out of guys. Nestor Cortez is the main example, right? So I can see the Yankees landing someone, but I don't see them getting one of these top guys personally. The Cardinals, for sure, their starting pitching was a mess last year. They absolutely need someone atop of that rotation. I think Nola is perfect because he gives you those innings, right? I think Sonny Gray is a really good option because he gets a lot of ground balls but has good stuff. The Cardinals have always appreciated the ground balls, but they are trying to get more towards strikeouts, right? Mozeliak has said that. He said, they want to start getting some more strikeouts with this team. So I think the Cardinals are a huge possibility. The Mets, they will be connected to these guys. I think they could land some pitching. I could see the Yamamoto thing because they could use some guys in the rotation. I just wonder if they're going to want to spend the big bucks. That's the only thing that holds me back. So I will keep them as a contender for Yamamoto. I'm just wondering how far are they going to go. The Rangers, when you look at their pitching, Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, these are two guys that always have durability issues. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rangers go out there and go make a move for someone like Nola, to be completely honest. Like someone that gives you innings, but the Rangers have money. And I know they just spent a ton on DeGrom, but listen, if you want to, keep hanging around here and, World Series contention, you're going to have to add to the starting rotation. Remember, the Rangers, they did just get in. Remember that, right? They did just win a World Series championship, but they weren't in the playoffs at one point in the last couple of weeks, right? They were kind of, they were in trouble there. They got in and they made it work, right? But do they bring in someone like Nola or bring back Montgomery? Like Montgomery worked out really well. So I could absolutely see Montgomery going back. I think that's very possible. Heaney, I believe he has an opt-out. So I think I don't think I've heard anything on him as of right now. I might have missed it, so apologies if I did. But I could see Montgomery going back. I think Nola's a possibility just because he gives you those innings. And they're going to have to find the innings. So look for the Rangers to maybe be in on something. The Braves, I could see the Braves getting something done. Anthopoulos doesn't like to give up the draft picks, so that's one thing that holds me back a little bit with the Braves landing one of these top guys. Like Sonny Gray, I think is a nice fit for them because I think Strider, Fried, and Gray would be a really good 1-2-3 punch, but you'd have to give up a draft pick. So I just wonder, and the Braves, their farm system's really depleted. So, do they really want to give up that whatever the pick is going to be for them, like, the 28th, 29th pick, probably what it ends up being. Like, do they want to end up giving that up, or the qualify, or whatever it is, the 32nd pick? Usually it's like the compensation pick. So I don't know if the Braves really want to do that because they kind of need to start adding a bit back to this farm system. I know they're very good at the major league level, but they do have some young players, but you have to take care of the farm too. So that's why I think Jordan Montgomery is a good option for them because you don't have to give up a qualifying offer. You could just spend the money and not have to give up the draft pick. So I think Jordan Montgomery is a possibility for the Braves. I think the Cubs. Here's the one thing with the Cubs. The Cubs need strikeouts, right? Justin Steele, Marcus Stroman, those guys were good last year. Stroman not so much in the second half. Steele was very good last year, but they need more strikeouts in that rotation. That's why I think Blake Snell is a really good possibility for them. I think Sonny Gray could be decent for them. So, look out for one of those guys. I think Blake Snell is honestly perfect for them. But, when it comes to these other teams, the Twins, what will they do if they do lose Gray? Will they replace him with maybe someone near the top. I don't see that really happening. I think they could go for guys like Kyle Gibson, something like that. I could see that happening. So, the Orioles, people look at the Orioles, for starting pitching because they see the Orioles and they looked at the rotation and it feels like they lack a big name. But the Orioles, they were better with their starting pitching in the second half, right? So, could they maybe just stand pat? Or could they maybe work out a trade? Could they go after someone like Corbin Burnes, right? Maybe someone like Shane Bieber. I think that's possible. I don't know. I just don't really think they're going to spend the money. I've been thinking they're going to spend the money the last couple of off seasons, and they just haven't pulled the trigger. I thought Carlos Correa could have been someone pretty good, right? And here we are. So I don't expect the Orioles to spend the bucks. I just don't. So those are the teams that I think are going to be in the mix for when it comes to the pitching. I think the two teams that need pitching the most when it comes to the big market, playoff, aspiration kind of teams is the Red Sox and the Dodgers, right? Those are two teams, and the Cardinals, right? Those are the three teams, in my opinion, that are going to really go hard after pitching. I think the Braves are going to look for someone, not having Kyle Wright for next year. And then with Morton, you have a club option. Morton's not getting any younger, though. So I could honestly see the Braves really just not doing that option with Montgomery. Not with Morton, and just going after someone like Montgomery, right? Giving him that $20 million instead. So I think that's very possible. Sure, could the Rangers add someone? The Blue Jays, I don't think they really need to add anything when it comes to the pitching. Personally, I think their rotation's pretty solid. I don't think I'm leaving anyone out. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts here on the pitching market. And when it comes to some lower tier kind of guys, when it comes to the pitching market, you got some guys. You got Kenta Maeda. You got Lorenzen out here. I mentioned Clevenger earlier. Gibson, I think, is a pretty solid get because he gives you innings, right? You got to remember, they're so important, man. Innings are huge. They're so big. And Gibson's going to give you that. Seth Lugo, this is a guy, he's 34 years old, but I could see him going to one of these small market teams. I could see him going to somewhere like the Reds or the Royals, maybe the White Sox. I could see a team like Seth Lugo or a team like the White Sox see Seth Lugo going there. I think that's possible. And then you got some guys in relief, right? Josh Hader's the big one. You got Craig Kimbrell, right? You got some other guys as well, like David Robertson's out there, Chapman. Right, we just saw Chapman in the World Series. So you got a relief market. I think the Rangers are going to be really big on relief guys. When you're looking at teams that need relief pitching, the Mets, I could see the Mets doing something personally. The White Sox, they definitely need to add something. The Angels brutally need to add something. If they plan on competing, the Angels, they're going to have to do something for that bullpen. The Rangers, I just mentioned, of course, very up and down last year with their bullpen. If the Padres lose Hader, what do they do there? Do they add someone? Do they maybe, if they lose Hader, do they maybe go get Craig Kimbrell, right? Do they maybe go get Chapman? Someone like that. I think that's very possible. Could maybe the Astros maybe add another arm to their bullpen? I think that's possible. Maybe the Cubs add a little something. Could you see maybe the Cubs getting, going after a guy like, I don't know, maybe not, probably not bring it, you won't bring Kimbrell back, probably not bring Chapman back. So, do maybe go after some of these lower tier kind of guys. I think that's possible. But yeah, I think a lot of these teams, they got good bullpens, but you're going to see some more lower moves. There's not really a whole ton of high caliber closers out there. Josh Hader's definitely the prize. So, could you see one of these top teams go get Hader? Could you maybe have the Dodgers go get Hader? I think that's possible. The Reds had a good bullpen last year. Could the Reds maybe, I don't think they'll get Hader, but could the Reds maybe add one of these arms like Chapman? Could they maybe have a reunion with Chapman? I think that's possible. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. The Phillies, right? If Kimbrell goes somewhere else, do they add someone? So I don't know. You got Keckering there. I think that's going to be a big arm for them in the future. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm very excited to see how the pitching market shapes up. Let's get to the hitters. right? Now, when it comes to the position player market, it's not going to be as strong, right? It is more top heavy than the pitching market is, right? When you're looking at some of these hitters that are available, okay, Cody Bellinger is the prize. Then you got Matt Chapman. Then you got a guy, like Jorge Soler. There's a Jung-Hoo Lee out there. You got that. But really, when it comes down to it, it's pretty much Cody Bellinger, right? Then you got Matt Chapman. And then there's just it kind of falls to the next tier after that. So let's get to it. Actually, let me catch up on some super chats here. I feel like I've missed a lot of super chats. Let me actually come over here. I feel like I missed a couple. Let me actually pull this up. Let's see. Everyone, while I'm checking out the super chats here, if you can, hit that like button for me. It is always appreciated if you can help us get to our like goal. The like goal for tonight was 100, and we're at 82 likes right now. So if you can help us get to 100, I will love you forever. So let's get to the super chats here. I think I missed quite a few. We had Kingston Farrell. Do you think the Pirates make a move? I answered that one. Lem Chomp. What do you think the Angels will do this offseason? I mean, it really comes down to what happens with Ohtani. I think, honestly, the Angels, I think losing Ohtani might be the best thing for them because now they can use that money and they can use it for different parts of the team, right? You can go get some other pitching. You can go get some other bats. Like, you can go get stuff for the bullpen. I mean, I think that might be the best thing for them, honestly. The Angels, I expect them to make moves. I do. I don't think they should, but it is the Angels at the end of the day. I think they're going to stay busy. I think they should tear it down. I think they really should sell off pieces. I think they should trade Trout if they could. Do they trade Trout? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think the Angels, they're going to be busy. You know the Angels. Artie Moreno, he doesn't want to sell. Mets fan, what do you think the Mets do for DH? I think Adam Duvall is a perfect bat. I think Adam Duvall is perfect. They were interested in Adam Duvall last year. Ended up going to the Red Sox. But I think he's perfect. A right-handed power bat. You can have him with Vogelbach there. I think JD Martinez is a possibility. Will JD Martinez want to go to the Mets? Or does JD Martinez maybe want to go to a team that is going to be more for sure in contention? But JD Martinez, I think, would be a good presence for them, because he has that playoff experience, winning a World Series championship, with the Dodgers this past year, making it to the playoffs. I think JD Martinez would be a really good player for the Mets. Not just the bat, but just what he brings to the team in terms of his presence. I could see the Mets adding, a bat like him. Maybe Jorge Soler, probably not. I could see a bat either like JD Martinez or Adam Duvall. Like, I see something like that. Sean McNally, how you doing? Don't rule the Rangers out. They have an owner willing to spend everything, a GM that is clearly very good at negotiating, and a fancy new trophy. I mean, the Rangers definitely have a lot going for them right now. They have all the leverage right now because they have money and they just won a championship, right? So, yeah, the Rangers absolutely have a ton of leverage right now. I completely agree with you, Sean. And Michael Harmon, I'm very new to Major League Baseball. Does the free agency start tomorrow? And when it does, are loads of deals done on the first day like the NBA, or is it slower? I'm going to be honest with you. I wish, if you're still here, Michael, I'm sorry. Or you should be still here. That was about 4 minutes ago. I wish it was like that. NBA free agency is really fun, right? Because when you're out of the gates, everyone just signs. Like, it's so fun. Like, I've kind of gotten away from basketball in the last couple of years, but Major League Baseball, it's definitely more of a marathon than a sprint for sure. Actually, let me make sure. Let me look at if there's a time. Do they have a set time? Or is it just midnight? Right? So players, as of right now, this past week, they could have been negotiating with their teams, but free agency begins tomorrow. right? So tomorrow is the 6th. I just want to make sure I have that right. Yeah, so free agency can start tomorrow, right? Or in 17 minutes. 17 minutes, free agency will open up. I was looking to see if there was a time, but I think it's just midnight, all right? Who knows? Could we see a signing in 17 minutes? That could be pretty fun. That could be fun. Could you imagine? Could you imagine we already get a signing in, 20 minutes from now? So, but, yeah, tomorrow is the start of free agency. I wish it was like the NBA. I wish, right? And then you have the general managers meetings for this coming week, right? The 7th through the 9th. And then you have the owners meetings from November 14th to the 16th. On the 17th, this is the day to submit pre-arbitration offers, right? And arbitration eligible offers as well. And then the winter meetings are the first week of December, right? First week of December, winter meetings, that's always a fun time. So this year they're in Nashville. I wish it was here where I'm at, man. I'm in Central Florida. If the winter meetings were in Orlando, I would do everything I can to try and get in there. I would go live on my phone. I would be trying to get all the juicy scoops I could get. Oh, that'd be fun. So yeah, but the winter meetings, that's the first week of December, so we have the rest of this month. And then you got the draft lottery that first week as well. And then you have the Rule 5 draft too. So yeah, that's going to be a fun time. But free agency starts in 16 minutes. So let's get to the position players, right? Let's get to the position players. Let's kind of dive in. Here. And here we go. Cody Bellinger. What happens with Cody Bellinger? Honestly, I think there is a chance he could end up just staying with the Cubs, right? Because, I mean, look at the season that he had with the Cubs, and the Cubs really need a bat. So, Bellinger, I think him staying makes a lot of sense, but I just think there's going to be teams out there. You know, here's the thing with Bellinger. It's not that he's just a good bat. He's a center fielder, right? And he can play some first base, so that helps. And he's 28. So I honestly expect Bellinger to really get some offers, right? I think the Giants are going to come after him strong. The Yankees, I think, could make an offer. Will the Yankees end up doing it? I don't know. But Bellinger is going to have some interest out there. The Cubs, I think, will do what they can to try and keep him. I think it could end up being too much for them personally, because remember, you got Peter Crow Armstrong coming up. Could they end up maybe signing someone? Right, you got Toshman there, but could you end up maybe bringing in someone else as like a stopgap until Armstrong is ready? So I don't know, but Bellinger I could see going back to the Cubs. When it comes to offense, right? If we're looking at teams that need offense, right? When I'm looking at some of these teams at the bottom, right? Of course, you always got the small market teams, right? You got the Rockies right now. They're always at the bottom. The White Sox, sure, they could add a bat. I could see them maybe adding something this offseason, possibly. The Tigers, I think the Tigers are a bit of a dark horse in adding a bat this offseason, because I think they need it, and obviously it shows here. They had an 89 WRC plus last year. That is pitiful. And I think the Tigers are really going to try and look to compete next year, but they need another bat. So, I don't know. Could they maybe do something? I think Soler would be a nice option. We'll have to wait and see. Oakland, nah. Pittsburgh, I could see adding some more lower tier kind of bats. I think the Brewers could be interesting, but I think the Brewers will try and get creative with adding bats, like maybe like a Rhys Hoskins kind of a deal, like a 1-year prove it kind of a deal. That I could see the Brewers taking advantage of, or maybe making a trade, right, for someone like a Pete Alonso. I think that's possible. The Nationals, I think, could be a dark horse to maybe make a move, but probably not likely. The Guardians, sure, they could add a bat, but it'll be something small. But the Giants right here at number 21 is why I think they're going to add 2 bats at least. I think they go after 2 bats. I had Bellinger and Matt Chapman going to the Giants. Bellinger more for the bat, Chapman more for the defense and his relationship with Bob Melvin. So I think personally the Giants, they swung and missed on Judge last year. Correa didn't work out. But that to me tells me that they're going to be looking to do something this offseason, right? Even if you go back to when, Correa didn't work out, they still made moves, right? They still did bring some guys in. You brought in Conforto, right? So I think the Giants, they're going to add a bat. Could it just be Bellinger? Could it just be Chapman? I think personally, the bat for them is Bellinger. That to me would be huge. Put him right there in center field. Chapman, he'll bring you a bit of a bat. He really got off to a hot start last year, but then he died off completely. But his defense at third base would be a huge upgrade over J.D. Davis, right? J.D. Davis had -11 defensive runs saved last year. -11. Matt Chapman had 12. So that's already a 20-run increase in defensive runs saved. That's massive. So I could see Chapman really going there for the defense. And I think those two on that team would be massive. The Marlins always need bats. That now they have a new guy running the operations there. What do they end up doing? The Yankees, this is another big one, right? The Yankees are number 19 in WRC Plus last year. They really need a bat. And for me personally, this is where I'm going to introduce an underrated bat that I think people need to pay attention to a little bit. And where did he go? What happened to him? Hold on a second. Let me pull him up. And he goes by the name of Jung-Hoo Lee out of Korea, right? We've been seeing Ha-Sung Kim having a lot of success, but the next bat I think you need to pay attention to is Jung-Hoo Lee, right? 25 years old, makes a ton of contact. He reminds me, I'm not going to say he reminds me of Ichiro. I'm not saying that. So don't even say it. But he's a very high contact hitter, and he kind of reminds me of Ichiro a little bit, right? Just kind of the way he swings and the way he just always puts the bat on the ball, right? I mean, he's a career 340 hitter in Korea, right? I know it's not Japan. Don't come at me. I'm just pointing out just what he does with the bat on the ball, right? But he won the MVP in 2022. His power really went down, but he was hurt a little bit last year, so that kind of did a dent. But he still had some pretty good numbers. 2022, he was amazing. He hit 349 in 22 with a 421 on base and a 575 slugging, right? Very good year. Very good year. Had 23 homers. So Jung-Hoo Lee, I think he's honestly perfect for the Yankees. You know, if the Yankees really want to go cheap, right? If they don't want to spend the money on Cody Bellinger, which I think Cody Bellinger checks off a lot of boxes for them, to me, Jung-Hoo Lee is kind of one of those high upside guys, and he's also younger than Bellinger, so I could see the Yankees being in on that too. But to me, the Yankees, they really need to take a different approach, right? And Aaron Judge just said that himself, right? Aaron Judge has said they got to do some things differently, right? And it starts with making contact. The Yankees were horrible at making contact last year. They were just going for power, going for broke. They didn't run the bases well. They were near the bottom when it came to base running last year. Jung-Hoo Lee not only gets the bat and the ball, but he's got some good legs too. Guy runs fast. He's good in the field. I could absolutely see the Yankees making a move like that. That sounds like a Yankee kind of a move. And I mean, come on, he's already got, they got the roll call already. They could probably come up with something with that, right? Jung-Hoo Lee, Jung-Hoo Lee, Jung-Hoo Lee. It just makes so much sense, right? It's perfect. He already sounds like a Yankee, in my opinion, already. But that's a name to pay attention to. I see a super chat coming in, B&B, $1.99. Hey, Robbie, was wondering, who do the Twins get? I think the Twins could get Jung-Hoo Lee. I think that's a big possibility. Look out for that, because the Twins, you had Michael Taylor last year. They got a lot out of Michael Taylor. They got 20-plus home runs for him. Who saw that coming, right? But the Twins were also very bad at making contact last year. They had one of the lowest contact percentages in the majors last year. Jung-Hoo Lee, I think, would be perfect for the Twins. I could see something like that. Could they maybe just go a different route for Michael Taylor? Could they just bring him back? Could you maybe go for Harrison Bader, who would give you some good base running and some good fielding, obviously, but that's not really going to solve your problems when it comes to the offensive production. I think Bader, if he gets back to what he was doing a couple of years ago, I think Bader could be a really nice piece for the Twins. So I think center field, they need to address that. What do you do with Sonny Gray? Could you just go with Kyle Gibson, someone like that, to kind of replace those innings, right? Obviously, it wouldn't be the same production as Sonny Gray, but it'd give you innings at least. I could see the Twins doing stuff like that. So the Twins will be busy. So getting back to this market here, right? That's the pitching market. I got too many tabs open, everyone. This is my problem. I always have too many tabs. Here we go. Nope, not the right one. There we go. But yeah, Chapman, I think is going to, to me with Chapman, there's not really a big market for him in my opinion. Could you have him go to the Yankees? Yeah, sure. I think that's possible. Could he go back to the Blue Jays? Yeah, sure. Could the Blue Jays maybe save themselves a few bucks, go sign Candelario instead? His bat was a bit more steady than Chapman's last year. Brandon Belt, I don't think Brandon Belt's going to retire. I don't think he's going to retire. He was really good against right-handed pitching last year. Hayward really reinvented himself last year. That's a guy to pay attention to. I have him going back to the Braves, but I could see him going to the Yankees. I could see something like that. I think the Yankees, that would be a really good fit for Jason Hayward. But I don't know. Jason Hayward, with how players, some of these position players that go to the Yankees and they tend to do bad. I don't know. I feel like Hayward might be scared off by that personally. And we talked about JD Martinez. JD Martinez can go to a lot of places. So, hey, if the Angels lose Ohtani, could they sign JD? But I don't know if JD would really want to go there personally. JD Martinez, to me, he's going to go to a team that's in contention, right? I think when JD Martinez went to the Red Sox, I think he pretty much at that point said, I only want to play for a contender. All right, he's not getting any younger, too. So JD Martinez, I don't see him going to like a small market team. I just don't see that. I think he wants to go to a winner. I think he has some other bats here like Garver, Gurriel Jr., Soler is going to give you power. Duvall is going to give you power. Tommy Pham. Whit Merrifield, that's a guy that you can look out for too. He's decent. There's not a lot of beef at the top of the position player market, but there are options out here, and there are definitely players that can contribute as well. So look out for this, but obviously the bat of Ohtani is the big one, right? I didn't talk about Ohtani in this segment really just because I kind of had his own segment. So yeah, Ohtani is like his own category, right? You have the pitching market, you have the position player market, and then you got the Ohtani market, right? He's his own market to me. So we do have one more segment on this show. But really quick, before I do get to that segment, I do just want to shout out our sponsor tonight, and that is Underdog Fantasy. In my opinion, your number one stop for all your daily fantasy needs to try and win yourself some cash. The link is in the description down below. It will double your first deposit up to $100 if you use my code HYDE. And obviously, it's not baseball season anymore, but I know a lot of you in this chat, I know you like football. I know some of you like basketball, right? We just had a basketball fan earlier in the chat. So you got hockey as well. But we do have Monday Night Football coming up tomorrow. We got the Chargers. We got the Jets. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can play. I'm going to make my picks here probably tomorrow. I'll research this a little bit more into what players could be good to pick for hires and lowers. But you got pick'ems, you got drafts as well. So the drafts, those are always fun to do, especially on Sundays, right? Sundays, that's the big time to play daily fantasy for Underdog, in my opinion, because there's all the football games on. So, but they have a whole bunch of different drafts. I mean, look at all the different drafts they have just for tomorrow night. You already got 4 different ones. 4 different categories, right? Or sorry, 2 different categories. And you got one for the basketball and one for hockey. So, but for hockey, I can't talk. For football alone, right? You got 2 separate drafts, and you got all these different entries that you can do. So go check out Underdog. I know baseball season's over. I know a lot of you were into the baseball picks. I know it's a sad day when we can't make our baseball pick'ems anymore, but at least go try it out for football. Go try it out for basketball, hockey as well. But always remember to play responsibly. That's the biggest thing. So here we go, everyone. Here we go. Taking a look here at our last segment of the show, and that is the trade market, right? We got the offseason with the free agents, of course, but we got the offseason with the trades as well. And there is some stuff to pay attention to when it comes to the trade market. It feels like there's more to be done in the free agent market. It feels like there's not as many possibilities for trades. I mean, I'm sure there's always going to be, names moved around, but I feel like this offseason, there's not as many names that are coming up in the trade market. But there are a few really good ones. And everyone, this is perfect because you all know I love baseball trade values. You know I'm very big on it. You know I'm all about using the baseball trade value simulator. And everyone, they have updated their website. They have completely revamped the website. It is fresh. It is new. It is quicker. They got new ways to do things, right? Now you have different tiers where if you just pay a little bit per month, you can use all these different types of systems to kind of give you even more in-depth analysis when it comes to valuing players. I mean, the biggest thing for me for baseball trade values is just it's so much quicker. It's so much better, right? But they got 2 different subscription types now if you wanted to get a subscription, right? So what ends up happening, right, if you get the first tier for the front office, right, the front office tier, it's going to give you overrides to where you can now override trade. So if it's not approved, you can just simply send it on through anyway, so that way people can see it and they can comment on it. You get a badge for there, and you also, you don't get the badge, I apologize, but you also get player values from the past as well as the present. So that's not bad at all. Gives you more access with comment boards. You get access to discounts for merchandise, but clearly the best one is going to be the general manager tier, right? This is a new tier for them. It's ad-free. And that's the biggest one with the front office one. It's ad-free, right? If honestly, out of all of the perks, probably ad-free is the best one. So, but of course, it's still going to be faster. But what's really cool with both tiers is that you now have a value matcher. What is a value matcher? This is kind of one of the new things I was talking about, where the value matcher, so if you wanted to trade, let's say, Juan Soto, right? If you go to the value matcher, it's going to find players of similar value for you, right? So you don't have to go look for it yourself, right? So it's kind of doing the work for you, right? It makes it a little bit easier, right? So go check these out, everyone. I am very friendly with baseball trade values, but they don't pay me anything. I'm not getting any sort of money from them at all. So this is me just shouting them out because they did such a great job updating this. In my opinion, I just had to rave about it. So, but check it out, everyone. Not bad. But we're going to be very active on baseball trade values this offseason because we're going to have to put some trades together on here. It's just how it always is. But let's take a look at the candidates, right? Juan Soto is the biggest one. Juan Soto, to me, I'm not sure if he's going to get traded or not. I feel like they end up hanging on to him personally. I think he's more of like a trade deadline kind of a guy. I think the Padres are going to kind of wait and see kind of where they're at the deadline. And to me, your team is better with Juan Soto on it. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but this is still Juan Soto at the end of the day. So with him, he's going to have a lot of suitors out there. The Yankees are the ones that kind of get connected with him the most. But listen, with the Yankees, right? Look how connected they were with Matt Olson a couple of years ago, and everyone thought he was going to the Yankees, and he didn't go to the Yankees. So I think it could be the same thing with Soto, but I just feel like the Padres, I know they want to clear payroll, and they're going to probably owe him over $30 million for arbitration. But man, it's just like the fact that you gave up so much for him and you wouldn't get the same return. It almost feels pointless to trade him, and especially if your team is built to try and compete. I think it's just worth it to try and hang on to him, right? And just see if you can win with him, right? That's kind of the feeling I get. But I don't know. Who knows? It depends on where they think this offseason. If they feel like they're not going to be able to sign him to an extension, or if they feel like they're completely out on it, they could look into it. So Corbin Burnes, this is the guy on the pitching side of things that's really going to dominate the headlines, but I'm not for sure sold that they end up trading him, all right? Because the Brewers, they always compete. The Brewers are always trying to win, right? They're not an organization that really tears things down. They're just not. And with Burnes on your team, you're going to be better, right? And the problem here is now Brandon Woodruff is going to be out for next year. So if you trade Burnes, you're relying on Freddie Peralta and then whoever else, right? So I'm not sold that they trade Burnes. I could actually see them maybe trying to work out some kind of an extension, right? It's going to be interesting, though. You will see the rumors for Corbin Burnes. Shane Bieber, this was a name that kind of died, right? He missed time quite a bit last year. Only made 21 starts. Was up and down, at times. Ended up finishing with a 3.87 FIP, right? So Bieber is still a respectable guy, but we've seen the Guardians make trades like this before, where before they even get to that last year of arbitration eligibility, they end up trading him. They did that with Francisco Lindor. So I could see them doing the same thing with Shane Bieber, and there's definitely going to be a market for him for sure. When it comes to another bat, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, this is a guy that's been in the rumors when it comes to a possible Mets trade. It was rumored that he was going to go somewhere at the deadline, that the Mets were talking, but he ended up staying. There's a lot of teams that are going to need a bat. And if they can't go out there and spend the money, I could see Pete Alonso, getting traded somewhere. It depends on what the Mets want to do. I know the Mets, after David Stearns was hired, they said Pete Alonso is a Met, right? And they want to keep him around. But you never know. If the right offer comes along, maybe they end up trading him, especially if they are looking to 2025. So look out for him because, hey, this is a power bat at the end of the day. Sure, he only hit 217, but he had 46 home runs and a 504 slugging. So that's a bat that I know a lot of teams would like to add. So getting back to the pitching side of things, Tyler Glasnow. Do the Rays end up trading him? Right? Came back last year from injuries. He got kind of rocked there by the Rangers in the playoffs, but Tyler Glasnow was really solid last year. 2.91 FIP. He had 12 strikeouts per 9 last year, under a home run per 9, under 3 walks per 9. Tyler Glasnow is definitely going to be a guy to look out for, right? So we've seen his name connected with other teams a lot, right? The Dodgers, the Cubs have been two teams that have popped up in the last couple of years for him. So, could the Padres maybe get in on Tyler Glasnow? If we're looking at, let's go to baseball trade values here. Let's go take a look. Let's go see what the values would be like. So if we go here, let's start, since we're on Glasnow, let's start with him. So right now, with Glasnow, and again, looking at him, he is a free agent after next year. So looking at him, he has a value of $13 million. So Glasnow for 1 year is definitely affordable, especially when it comes to the prospects. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Let's go to the Brewers with Corbin Burnes. All right, if we're looking at Corbin Burnes, Burnes has a good value, $32 million. right? That's going to be a lot of prospects to give up for 1 year of Corbin Burnes, right? He's going to be a free agent after next year. So that's something. If we're looking at, let's go to Juan Soto. Let's go see Juan Soto's. Juan Soto, 22.9, right? That can get up to maybe close to around 30 million. So it's going to take a little bit to get Juan Soto. That's why I'm just wondering, I don't know if the Padres would want to do that. Looking at Shane Bieber. Looking at his value. So Bieber, as of right now, did I miss him? Bieber, where'd you go? Bieber, where did you go? Where is he? So Bieber's actually pretty low at this point, 5.7 million. Well, his value is down because he had injuries last year, and his numbers have been kind of slowly ticking up. But I could see a team going after Bieber, or do they hang on to him by the deadline? I think that's possible, right? Another guy, Dylan Cease. I don't expect Dylan Cease to go anywhere. I really don't. I think the White Sox hang on to him. He's not a free agent until after 2025. I think the White Sox, they want to try and get back into contention. And with a wide open AL Central next year, I see them hanging on to him. Alex Verdugo on my Red Sox. He's not one of the top players out there, but, it's a solid left-handed bat that could help out a team's lineup. He's not going to be, a game-changing kind of a bat, but he's someone that you could add for your lineup, a lefty bat as well. I expect the Red Sox to trade him this offseason. I think that's very possible. So look out for that. Jonathan India. This is a name that's popped up, right? We saw his name pop up before the deadline last year. His numbers have really dipped. He still gets on base pretty well, though. Hit 338 on base last year. So, had some injuries. I could see Jonathan India maybe having a bounce back year, possibly. The advanced metrics aren't too great with him, though. But, yeah, he plays second base. He's not great defensively. But, India could be of some service to some teams out there in need of some middle infielders. Gleyber Torres, this is a name that's popped up. I feel like the Yankees are just never going to trade him. Unless the right deal comes along, I just don't see Cashman dealing him. I just don't. I don't know, man. But one name I think you should all keep an eye out for is Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert, his name popped up in the rumor mill before the deadline last year. I was thinking, wow, really? Gilbert's name is coming up? I wouldn't be surprised. The Mariners are very heavy with the pitching, right? If they needed to get a bat and the right deal came along to where they could get that bat, Logan Gilbert is an interesting name to keep an eye out for. And let's actually real quick just go to his value because it is going to be high, right? Logan Gilbert right now is at 74 million. That's a lot, right? And that's the median value, okay? His surplus could get all the way up to around 90 million. That's a huge package for Logan Gilbert, right? That it's going to take to get him. So if you do see Logan Gilbert get traded, it's going to be a blockbuster deal. So I think it's possible, though. Could they end up trading instead Bryce Miller or Brian Wu, two younger guys that saw some time last year in the majors? So I think that's very possible. The Mariners could trade one of these guys. But Logan Gilbert would be a blockbuster move. That would be massive. And there would be a lot going back to the Mariners if they traded him. So there's definitely a lot to pay attention to this offseason, everyone. I know I kind of rambled there felt like almost a couple hours. So, but hey, there's a lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about. A lot of free agents to keep an eye out for this offseason. A lot of trade possibilities as well. It's going to be fun. But in the end, in my opinion, this is the offseason of Ohtani. I mean, we all know this. It's not really it's not even debatable to me. Like, Ohtani is clearly the number one guy. And Ohtani, I mean, he's probably going to go down as the biggest free agent ever, right? And possibly all of sports. Definitely in baseball, right? But all of sports. I mean, this guy's going to get a massive contract, right? A contract that we will possibly never see for a long time. All right, so I say just enjoy this offseason. We're going to have rumors. We're going to have everything. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I will be live as much as possible, talking rumors, talking all the trade talk, all the free agent talk, all of it. We'll be live a lot. I'll be doing nightly shows. If there are rumors to talk about, I will go live that night to talk about them. I will be making a lot of content. I usually post on the weekends. Sometimes I post in the middle of the week as well. So be on the lookout for that kind of content, right? More pre-recorded content. And then look out for streams at night. So everyone, we're going to get after it this offseason. It's going to be fun. I really am excited for it. I'm excited to spend it with all of you. That is really the best thing, right? That is the most important thing to me, is that, you know, in the last few years, we've had so many streams where we react to stuff, right? Remember Trevor Bauer? We didn't even talk about Trevor Bauer here tonight. It's already too late for that. We reacted to that. I mean, Judge last year when he signed with the Yankees. Go back to Bogarts last year as well. That was a fun stream, right? How many? We've seen so many players just sign, and then I go live to react to it, right? Trevor Story, Carlos Correa at like 2 in the morning a couple of years ago. Or was it? I think Correa signed a little earlier last year, I think. I remember talking about that. All those streams last year, remember that with the Giants and the Mets, right? So we'll be doing that again this offseason. No different. All the rumors, all the signings, all the trades right here. So everyone, have yourself a great night. If you can, on the way out, hit that like button for me. The goal was 100 for tonight. If you hit it for me, I will love you forever. And if you are new, think about subscribing down below. And also, everyone, don't forget, I uploaded my predictions a little bit ago. Hey, if you want to go see how wrong my predictions are, go check out that video. It's probably a nice, fun watch because all of them are going to be completely wrong. I hope I get at least one right. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. But go watch that video. Go let me know what you think in the comments. But everyone, have yourself a great night. Have a good week coming up. And again, if anything is reported, I will be here. So have your bell notification turned on. That way you know I'm going live. Or if I post a video. Have a great night, everyone. And I'll talk to you next time.